Welcome back to the channel, basketball fans, Gilas Pilipinas diehards, and everyone tuning in from across the globe to get the most comprehensive, deeply analytical, and unapologetically passionate coverage of Philippine basketball. If you are joining us today, you already know that basketball in the Philippines is not just a sport. It is a religion. It is the rhythmic heartbeat of a nation of over 100 million people, a collective pulse that beats in time with the bouncing of a leather ball on hardwood on concrete, on makeshift dirt courts in the farthest provinces, and under bright, blinding lights of the Mall of Asia Arena and the historic Smart Araneta Coliseum. We live, we breathe, and we bleed basketball. Every victory feels like a national holiday, and every defeat feels like a personal heartbreak. We carry the weight of every missed free throw, and we elevate every buzzer beater into the realm of modern mythology. And today, we find ourselves standing at the precipice of massive developments, gazing at a horizon filled with enormous questions, tantalizing possibilities, and breaking news that could fundamentally alter the trajectory of the national team and the legacy of our most beloved homegrown prodigy. Today, we are diving deep into two explosive, monumental storylines that are sending shockwaves to the Philippine basketball community and the international hoops landscape at large. First, we have breaking developments regarding the one and only Jordan Clarkson, the former NBA Sixth Man of the Year, the Utah Jazz dynamic scoring machine, and the undisputed talisman of the Gilas Pilipinas offense during the 2023 FIBA World Cup. The whispers have turned into conversations, and the conversations are now turning into strategic blueprints. We are looking at the highly anticipated, intensely debated potential utilization of Jordan Clarkson in the crucial third window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers and the ensuing road to the 2027 FIBA World Cup. The prospect of seamlessly integrating a high-octane, elite NBA scorer into a meticulously crafted, defense-first, highly structured system of legendary head coach Tim Cone is a basketball tactical puzzle of the highest order. We're going to unpack exactly what this means for the current roster, how it impacts the existing chemistry of the squad, and what it demands from the coaching staff to ensure that his addition becomes a lethal weapon rather than a disruptive force. But that is only half the story we are unpacking today. The second half of our deep dive centers around the towering beacon of Philippine basketball hope, the 7'3" phenom himself, Kai Sotto. We all know the journey. We all know the immense, suffocating pressure placed upon his incredibly broad shoulders from the moment he first picked up a basketball as a young boy. Inspired by his father, former PBA player Irvin Sotto, we have followed him from his dominant days in the UAAP with the 8 Neo Blue Eaglets to his bold move to the United States to join the Skill Factory, his unprecedented signing with the G League Ignite, his adventurous pivot to the Australian National Basketball League with the Adelaide 36 Airs, and his dominant, career-high-setting performances in the Japan B-League with the Hiroshima Dragonflies, the Yokohama B Corsairs, and most recently, the Koshigaya Alphas. And we all felt the collective devastation, the absolute gut punch, when the news broke earlier this year in January 2026 that Kai had suffered an ACL tear, sidelining him for 9 to 12 months, pausing his momentum just as he was playing the absolute best, most dominant basketball of his young professional career. Yet, as we will explore today, the dream is far from over. The NBA dream, that elusive, glittering prize of becoming the first full-blooded, homegrown Filipino to play in the National Basketball Association, remains vividly alive. In fact, emerging reports, deep insider analyses, and insights from former NBA sensations like Jeremy Lin point to three very specific, highly viable, yet distinctly challenging pathways for Kai Sotto to finally realize his NBA destiny once he completes his grueling rehabilitation. We are talking about three distinct avenues: the treacherous but rewarding path of the NBA Summer League, the unprecedented and shocking potential pivot to the U.S. NCAA Division I collegiate system to command the attention of top-tier scouts, and finally, the international standout route, dominating the global stage to force NBA front offices to offer him a contract, much like we have seen with other late-blooming international stars. This is not going to be a quick overview. This is not a superficial skimming of the headlines. This is a comprehensive, documentary-style deep dive into the tactical, emotional, and logistical realities of Jordan Clarkson's return and Kai Sotto's future. We are going to analyze the defensive schemes, the offensive sets, the contractual obligations, the rehabilitation timelines, and the psychological resilience required to navigate the highest echelons of global basketball. I need you to settle in, grab your notebook, and prepare for a masterclass in basketball analysis. We are going to look at the historical context of Clarkson's previous stints with Gilas, from his debut in the 2018 Asian Games to his legendary 34-point explosion against China in 2023 that secured our Olympic qualifying tournament berth. We are going to examine Tim Cohn's philosophy, the importance of defensive continuity, and the challenge of balancing isolation scoring with fluid ball movement. And we are going to trace every single step of Kai Sotto's rehabilitation, his mindset, and the strategic decisions his camp must make in the coming months as he navigates the darkest days of his career to emerge stronger, faster, and more determined than ever before. The stakes have never been higher. The road to the 2027 FIBA World Cup is paved with formidable opponents, teams like New Zealand, Australia, and the rising powerhouses of the Middle East. Gilas Pilipinas cannot afford to make a single misstep. Every roster inclusion, every tactical adjustment, every minute of playing time allocated must be calculated with absolute precision. Jordan Clarkson brings an undeniable gravitational pull on the offensive end. He commands double teams. He terrifies opposing guards. He can create a shot out of thin air when the shot clock is expiring. But basketball is a two-way game, and the international game is uniquely physical, highly structured, and punishing the teams that lack defensive cohesion. How does a player accustomed to the spacing and pace of the NBA adapt to the rugged, tightly packed zones of FIBA basketball? How does he mesh with Justin Brownlee, if both are available, or how does he carry the mantle as the sole naturalized player, if that is the direction the Samahang basketball in Pilipinas chooses to take? And simultaneously, we must look at the future anchor of our national team. Kai Sotto is not just a basketball player. He is a symbol. He represents the aspirations of millions of young Filipinos shooting hoops on makeshift rims nailed to coconut trees, dreaming of one day hearing their names called by Adam Silver on draft night. His ACL injury is a devastating setback, yes, but it is not the final chapter. It is merely a crucible, a trial by fire that will test his resolve and forge his ultimate character. The three paths laid out before him: the Summer League, the NCAA, and the international route, each present unique obstacles and incredible opportunities. Which path makes the most sense for a 23-year-old 7-footer coming off a major knee reconstruction? How will the timing of these paths conflict with his commitments to the national team in the upcoming FIBA windows and the Asian Games? We are going to dissect all of this and more. We are going to leave no stone unturned, no scenario unexamined, and no question unanswered. We are diving into the grit, the glory, the setbacks, and the spectacular triumphs that define Philippine basketball on the world stage. So, without any further delay, let us transition from the overarching headlines and plunge straight into the deeply analytical core of today's massive double feature presentation. It is time for the deep dive. Let us begin by dissecting the first massive storyline, the possible use and strategic integration of Jordan Clarkson in the upcoming third window. To truly understand the gravity of the situation, we must first look backward to fully appreciate the context. Jordan Clarkson is not just a mercenary brought in to score points. He is a player who has demonstrated profound, emotional connection to his Filipino heritage. We all remember the bureaucratic hurdles, the endless lobbying by the SBP, and the absolute euphoria when he finally suited up for the Philippines in the 2018 Asian Games in Jakarta. We remember his scoring outbursts, his passion, and his undeniable talent. But it was during the 2023 FIBA World Cup, hosted right here on our home soil, that his legacy was truly cemented. Picture the scene again, the Smart Araneta Coliseum, September 2nd, 2023. The Philippines facing their bitter rivals, China. The pressure was suffocating. Gilas had suffered heartbreaking losses throughout the tournament, and they were staring down the barrel of a winless World Cup campaign at home. Enter Jordan Clarkson. In the third quarter of that game, he did not just play basketball. He authored a masterpiece. He unleashed a barrage of scoring that will be talked about in barbershops and basketball courts across the archipelago for decades to come. 24 points in a single quarter for consecutive, mind-bending three-pointers. He finished with 34 points, single-handedly turning a tight contest into a blowout, securing a 92-73 victory and punching our ticket to the Olympic qualifying tournament. He showed us what a legitimate, in his prime NBA scorer, can do when the lights are brightest. But the reality of international basketball is that one miraculous performance does not guarantee sustained, structural success. And this brings us to the complex tactical puzzle facing Coach Tim Cone as we approach the third window. Tim Cone is a master tactician, a coach whose philosophy is built on the bedrock of defensive intensity, fluid ball movement, and exploiting mismatches through disciplined execution. His system requires complete buy-in. It requires players to make the extra pass, to rotate flawlessly on defense, and to prioritize the quality of the team's shot over individual scoring accolades. When you bring a player of Jordan Clarkson's caliber into this environment, you are introducing a beautiful, highly volatile element. Offensively, the benefits are obvious. Chat Reyes, the former Gilas coach, said it best when he described what Clarkson brings: gravity. Clarkson possesses an offensive gravity that bends opposing defenses. When he has the ball at the top of the key, every single defender on the opposing team must keep one eye on him. This creates driving lanes for players like Dwight Ramos and Chris Newsom. It opens up the perimeter for shooters like Calvin Oftana. It provides breathing room for our big men in the paint. Clarkson can hit the heavily contested step-back three, a shot that is statistically inefficient for most, but a crucial bailout weapon when the shot clock is winding down against elite international defenses. However, the questions arise on the other side of the floor. International observers and critical analysts have pointed out that during his past Gilas stints, Clarkson's defensive engagement has sometimes wavered. The FIBA game is incredibly physical, and European and high-level Asian teams excel at exploiting the weakest link in a defensive chain through relentless pick-and-roll actions and off-ball screens. If Clarkson is resting on defense to conserve energy for his massive offensive load, elite teams will target him. Tim Cone's recent success with Gilas, including that miraculous run in the OQT against Latvia, was built on a stifling, interconnected defensive identity that held powerful teams to astonishingly low point totals. Can Clarkson adapt to this defensive rigor? His teammates certainly believe so. Players like Chris Newsom have publicly stated that Clarkson is an incredibly smart player, an NBA veteran who can pick up defensive schemes rapidly. The challenge is not his basketball IQ. It is the limited preparation time. The FIBA windows are notoriously brief. You have players flying in from different leagues, different time zones, with only a handful of practices to establish chemistry before stepping onto the court for a must-win game. Integrating an isolation-heavy player into a continuity-based offense in less than 2 weeks is a monumental task. Coach Cone will likely have to design specific sets that allow Clarkson to operate in his comfort zones, perhaps using him as a secondary creator or running him off multiple screens to get him a ball on the move, rather than relying strictly on static isolation plays that can stagnate the offense and freeze out the rest of the team. The ultimate success of Clarkson in the third window will depend entirely on finding that delicate, elusive balance between unleashing his individual brilliance and maintaining the collective integrity of the Gilas machine. Now, let us pivot to the second, equally compelling narrative: Kai Sotto and the 3 distinct ways he can still achieve his ultimate NBA dream. The context here is sobering but necessary to address. Kai Sotto was having the season of his life in the Japan B-League with the Koshigaya Alphas. He was averaging career highs across the board. Almost 14 points, nearly 10 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, playing nearly 30 minutes a night, shooting efficiently and protecting the rim. He had silenced the critics who questioned his motor and his physicality. He was dominating the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers, averaging monstrous double-doubles. And then, the darkest day of his basketball career arrived in January 2026, an ACL tear. For a 7'3" center, an ACL injury is a terrifying prospect. It requires meticulous surgery, months of grueling, monotonous physical therapy, and a tremendous amount of psychological fortitude to trust the knee again once clear to play. But Kai Sotto has faced adversity before, and his camp has made it abundantly clear that this is a delay, not a defeat. He is giving his NBA dream another shot. Let us break down the 3 primary avenues available to him once he is healthy. Way number 1, the NBA Summer League. This is a traditional route for undrafted players and international prospects looking to secure a training camp invite or a 2-way contract. The Summer League, typically held in July in Las Vegas, is a chaotic, high-paced showcase where young players desperately fight for their basketball lives. Kai has been in this environment before, having played for the Orlando Magic's Summer League squad in 2023. He knows the speed, the athleticism, and the selfishness that often characterizes Summer League play, where guards are hunting for their own shots to impress scouts. For Kai to succeed here, he doesn't need to score 20 points a game. He needs to show NBA general managers that he can excel in a specific role. He needs to set bone-crushing screens, roll hard to the rim, finish through contact, protect the paint without fouling, and demonstrate that his lateral quickness, post-ACL tear, is sufficient to survive against NBA-level pick-and-roll attacks. The massive complication with the Summer League route is timing. The Summer League schedule almost always conflicts directly with the FIBA windows. If Kai chooses to play in the Summer League, he will almost certainly have to miss crucial games for Healas Pilipinas, just as we saw in the past when scheduling conflicts forced him to make agonizing choices between his personal development and national team duties. It is a sacrifice, but as SBP President Ricky Vargas profoundly stated, sacrificing for your dream and representing your country are both notable paths, and it is hard to fault a young man for pursuing the highest pinnacle of his profession. Way number 2, the U.S. NCAA Division I route. This is, without a doubt, the most surprising and intriguing option being discussed. When Kai first moved to U.S., he bypassed the college route to join professional ranks of the G League Ignite. Traditionally, once you turn professional, your NCAA eligibility is forfeited. However, the landscape of collegiate athletics has undergone a seismic shift with the introduction of NIL name, image, and likeness, deals, and an ever-evolving set of eligibility rules regarding international professionals. There are reports and explorations into whether Kai could navigate the complex clearinghouse processes to suit up for a major Division I college program. Why would a 23-year-old professional consider going to college? Exposure and development. Playing in a major conference, like the ACC, the Big East, or the SEC, provides guaranteed high-level television exposure to every single NBA scout in the country on a weekly basis. Furthermore, playing under a legendary college coach could provide Kai with a rigorous, heavily structured environment focused purely on fundamental development, weight room conditioning, and tactical discipline. It would strip away the pressures of international professional basketball and place him in a crucible where he can rebuild his body and his game from the ground up post-injury. The downside? It would take him out of Healas Pilipinas lineup for almost an entire year. The NCAA season runs from November to March, directly conflicting with multiple FIBA qualifying windows. It is a massive gamble, a drastic pivot, but one that could theoretically reintroduce him to NBA draft boards not as an undrafted free agent, but as a polished, battle-tested collegiate standout. Way number 3, the international standout route. This is perhaps the most pragmatic and, ultimately, the most likely path to success. It is the path championed by former NBA star Jeremy Lin, who recently offered profound words of encouragement to Kai. Lin pointed to players like Gershon Yabusel. Yabusel played in the NBA early in his career, fell out of the league, and then went overseas. He grinded in Europe, and then, during the Olympics, playing against the absolute best players in the world, Yabusel dominated. He showed a level of physicality, shooting, and defensive versatility that forced the Philadelphia 76ers to immediately offer him a rotation contract. Kai Sotto can follow this exact blueprint. Once he recovers from his ACL injury, he returns to the Japan B-League or perhaps transitions to a high-level European league. He focuses on dominating his domestic competition, winning championships, and refining his three-point shot and defensive switching. But more importantly, he uses the FIBA World Cup in 2027 and the potential Los Angeles Olympics in 2028 as his ultimate audition. When Healas plays against teams featuring active NBA centers, Kai must rise to the occasion. If he can drop a 20-point, 12-rebound performance against a starting NBA center in a FIBA World Cup game, every general manager in the association will receive an immediate alert from their international scouting department. The NBA is increasingly a global league. They no longer care where you play. They care how you play against elite competition. By transforming himself into an undeniable force on the international stage, Kai Sotto can force the NBA to come to him, rather than him chasing them through the chaotic summer league circuit. These three paths, the Summer League Showcase, the NCAA Pivot, and the International Standout Blueprint, are the roadmap for the next 3 years of Kai Sotto's life. Each requires a monumental amount of hard work, an unwavering belief in his own abilities, and a complete physical recovery of his knee. The journey of Kai Sotto is a testament to the fact that the road to greatness is rarely a straight line. It is filled with detours, roadblocks, and agonizing setbacks. But the destination remains unchanged. As we begin to wrap up this incredibly extensive, massively detailed deep dive into the current landscape of Healers Filipinas, it is absolutely essential to take a step back and look at the broader picture. We have spent an immense amount of time dissecting the granular, tactical implications of Jordan Clarkson potentially suiting up in the third window. We have analyzed the defensive rotations, the offensive gravity, the integration into Tim Cohn's system, and the historical weight of his past performances. We have also thoroughly, systematically unpacked the three distinct, heavily scrutinized pathways that Kai Sotto can traverse to keep his ultimate NBA dream burning bright in the aftermath of a devastating, season-ending knee injury. But what does all of this actually mean for the ordinary Filipino basketball fan watching at home, wearing their Healers jersey, screaming at the television screen during every possession? It means that we are witnessing an era of unprecedented complexity and immense potential. The days of simply showing up to international tournaments, hoping for a miracle, are long gone. The Samahang Basketballing Pilipinas, the coaching staff led by the legendary Tim Cohn, and the players themselves are operating on a sophisticated, global level. The integration of Jordan Clarkson is not merely about adding a prolific scorer. It is a profound statement of intent. It signals to the rest of the world that the Philippines is leveraging every single asset, every drop of world-class talent available to us, to secure our standing as a dominant force in Asian basketball and a highly competitive, dangerous opponent on the world stage. It proves that the commitment of a player like Clarkson, an established millionaire playing in the greatest league in the world, to fly across the globe to wear the national colors is absolute. It is a testament to the culture that has been built within the Healers program, a culture where former players, current stars, and naturalized reinforcements blend seamlessly into a brotherhood bound by a single, overarching goal: to bring pride and honor to the nation. And then we look at Kai Sotto. The narrative surrounding Kai has always been heavily laden with expectation, sometimes unfairly so. We place the hopes of an entire nation on the shoulders of a teenager, and we watch him grow, stumble, adapt, and evolve in a relentless spotlight of social media and international scrutiny. His current battle, the lonely, painful, exhausting process of rehabilitating a torn ACL, is perhaps the most defining challenge of his young life. It is in the quiet moments of physical therapy, away from the roaring crowds and the flashing cameras, that true resilience is forged. Whether he chooses to battle his way through the brutal gauntlet of the NBA Summer League, shock the world by pivoting to the U.S. NCAA Division I ranks to demand the attention of top scouts, or steadily, methodically dominate the international and overseas leagues until the NBA has no choice but to offer him a contract, his journey remains our journey. His dream remains our collective dream. We must understand that patience is the ultimate virtue in this context. Building a world-class national team and developing a generational, globally recognized talent do not happen overnight. They require years of strategic planning, painful defeats, tactical adjustments, and unwavering support from the fan base. As we look ahead to the crucial FIBA windows, we must rally behind this team. We must appreciate the tactical genius of Tim Cohn as he attempts to seamlessly blend the isolation brilliance of Jordan Clarkson with the defensive rigidity required to win international games. We must send our collective energy and prayers for a swift, complete, and robust recovery to Kai Sotto, knowing that his best, most dominant basketball is still ahead of him. The timeline leading up to the 2027 FIBA World Cup in Qatar and the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles is going to be a roller coaster of epic proportions. There will be shocking roster announcements, heartbreaking injuries, miraculous buzzer beaters, and moments of pure, unadulterated basketball ecstasy. And through it all, this channel will be right here, breaking down every single play, analyzing every single rumor, and providing you with the most in-depth, passionate coverage available anywhere on the internet. I want to hear from every single one of you watching this video right now. Head down into the comment section and let your voice be heard. Do you believe that Jordan Clarkson is the missing piece that will guarantee Gilas Pilipinas a dominant sweep in the third window? Or do you have concerns about his defensive fit in Coach Tim Cohn's heavily structured system? And regarding our prodigy, which of the three paths do you believe is the most realistic, the most strategic, and the most beneficial for Kai Sotto's long-term NBA ambitions? Should he risk it all in the summer league? Should he go to college to develop his fundamentals? Or should he focus entirely on becoming the most dominant center outside of the NBA until they call him up? Drop your detailed thoughts, your analytical predictions, and your passionate opinions in the comments below, because I read every single one of them. And the debate we have in the community is what makes this channel so incredibly special. If you appreciated the immense depth, the extensive research, and the absolute passion poured into this documentary-style breakdown, please take 1 second to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that real, hardcore basketball analysis matters. And if you have not done so already, click that subscribe button and absolutely smash the notification bell so you never miss a single update, deep dive, or breaking news report as we follow Gilas Pilipinas on their quest for global basketball supremacy. The road ahead is long, the challenges are immense, but the spirit of Philippine basketball has never been stronger. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your incredible, unwavering support, and as always, Laban Pilipinas. I will see you all in the next video.